Hello everyone, Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art. We are in all kinds of weather today here in New England. We had snow and rain and it's not the best day, so we're going to paint something looking ahead to Valentine's Day. So I'm going to paint a little quick Valentine's gnome, and he's pretty simple. I had just a scrap piece of wood hanging around here. Hi guys, thank you for popping on. Let me know that you're here. Say hello in the comments, and I'd love to know where you're from and what your weather is like. You can't really see out of my tiny window here, but it's pretty gray out there. So I had this little scrap piece of wood, and you can go to Home Depot and any of the places like that, and they'll cut the wood usually up for you. So I just go in and I pick the width of the board that I want, just the pine tall boards, and then they cut them up into the pieces. And this is just a scrap I happen to have. I painted it black. I know it looks like chalk. Hello, everybody's popping on. Thank you guys. Lots of people are home for a snow day and the holiday today, so I'm glad you're watching. I've painted my black acrylic on my board. I've painted my edges white. All I did was sketch my gnome on with chalk. These gnomes are super easy to draw out, and I'm going to show you before we start just how you can draw your little gnome on any shape canvas or board that you have. So I'm going to turn my camera around and get started, but let me just show you. I was pulling some of my Valentine's pieces off the walls and things, so I know I've done this video before. It's just a little snowman holding a heart. So he is perfect for Valentine's too. So you can just add a little heart to any little snowman that you like to paint. And voila, you have a cool Valentine's painting. I also have little, we did little ceramic plaques last year, just a little ceramic heart. And it's You Are Loved, and it has a little beaded handle. You had kits for these. I might have some still, but that was a fun little project. And in my Cardist group, we painted this little Be Mine painting. So I do have a private membership where we paint all kinds of fun things. This is just on a little square canvas. But let's get started, because I want to show you how easy this little Valentine's gnome is. And you could do him up anyway. You could make him an Easter gnome, a St. Patrick's Day gnome, a Christmas gnome. Gnomes are super easy. They only have a nose for a face. You don't have to worry about eyes and all that business. So I'm going to turn you around, so I know you have to go upside down a little bit so that you can actually see what I'm painting. I'm going to pull you up on my laptop, so please say hello, and any questions or comments as you go along, just throw them in there. I'd love to answer those for you. So let me just get you positioned and so that you can see what we are working on. I will adjust that a little bit as I get you up on my computer so I can see if you can see that properly. And do let me know if you can't. So I'm going to move that up, and I'll shift it around as I'm painting. It's an odd-shaped board here. I probably should have done it on something small, but I like the idea of the tall, skinny gnome. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Pam. Joan. Hey, Eric. Thank you guys for watching. And if you have questions, let me know. So I'm going to move this aside to show you just quickly that you don't really need a tracer for this. Gnomes are super easy. They're just a hat, a beard, and maybe a couple of feet. And so I did mine on a tall board. Let me get a better marker, because that you can't really see. So I just fit my gnome to the size of the board. So say you just have a regular, ordinary rectangle, that's fine too. I just sketch on a little hat. Look, it's just like a little triangle. If you're doing a small, a rectangular canvas, you don't have that length, so you would just simply do just a little shorter hat. You can always bend it over, which is kind of cute. I'm going to put a little heart on my little Valentine's guy, but it could just end like that if you wanted. And then it's just, look at, you're just putting a big beard on them. They don't have to worry about eyes and mouths and nose. Just a beard. So you've got a triangle shape here. You've got a triangle shape here. They have little bodies. Nothing really to them. They could be just like that. If you want to put little feet, you can. That's as simple as the one we're going to do today. You could always make them have little arms if you wanted, and they could be holding a heart, but they're super simple, so do not stress out. They're wonky looking. You want them to be fun, and you don't want them to be perfect. I use a piece of chalk if I'm on a dark background, so that's all I did was draw my my gnome on here with a piece of chalk. What's great about the chalk is you can just erase anything you don't like, and after you paint it, you can certainly erase the lines that are left over. So let me jump in now and get started. I'm not using many colors. I'm using red, and I'm going to mix up to make a pink. If you have all your pinks in all the jars and the beautiful colors, feel free to use them. I like to be a little limited, more limited on my palette, and then just mix my colors. I have a little flesh color for his nose. I have a tiny bit of black and a little blue, and I'll show you why. I start his beard gray, but when I make my grays, I like to add a little blue. I'd rather have a little color in there rather than just a dull gray, so I always add blue in with my blacks and my grays. So let's just get started here. And I simply am going to paint his hat first, and I think I want to use shades of pink more than just bright red. I'm just going to make up a pink by just adding a little bit of red to my white. This is just acrylic paint. It's ordinary acrylic paint I use in the little craft bottles. Whatever you want to use, if you have the tube, the heavy bodied works. If you have the little craft paints, those work as well. I've had my paint sitting on the palette for a little while waiting to paint with you guys, so it's a little thick. So I have no issue always just adding a little bit of water to my color. I want to have a little bit of a smoother line. And I'm just painting in the hat. I'm painting on black here, so I probably will need a second coat. But let's just see how this covers. This is just going to be a little whimsical gnome, so he doesn't have to be perfectly, the colors don't have to be perfectly covered. I sometimes like a little dark showing through. And I'm going to put some stripes probably on his hat, maybe some polka dots on his jacket. I'm mixing up as I go, and I don't mind that. I'd almost rather have the shades of pink be a little different as I go along, so that it's just not, I want it to look a little bit wonky. I want to see the brush strokes. I want to see that it's hand painted. I don't want it to be so perfect it looks like it came, out of a factory where they manufacture lots of things. I'm going to shut the video off on my recording there. I don't want to have that going twice. So there we are, just simple as that. I am always turning things upside down and right side up to get at them. Just a pink hat. I'm going to go a little darker pink for his jacket. I don't know, I just don't want to use straight red, but I'm going to just mix a little pink, little white in there. So it's almost red, but it's really still on the magenta pink side. I know gnomes aren't for everyone, and some people love them, and some people aren't crazy about them. But they're pretty cute, and I thought it would be appropriate for a little Valentine's, a little pre-Valentine's Day painting. I'd love to know what you guys are all painting these days, so turn up the volume. All right, Sharon, let me see if I can do that. Hold on. Remember, guys, too, this is recorded and it will go up later on too. So let me see if I can actually turn up the volume on this. I'll give it a shot. Let me know what you think about how that is. Okay. Hey, Nancy. Hi, Meg. All right, let me go along and fill this. All right, let me go. Okay. And I'm just going to fill in the little coat just like I did for his hat. I'm using a big synthetic flat brush. If you're more comfortable, you can always use a little smaller brush. You can always outline with a smaller brush and fill in with a bigger one. And this will take another coat. So I've got my first coat there. I'm going to go and show you that technique I do for his beard. And what I meant when I said I really don't want to do just a dark gray. I like to start dark on the beard and go light. So I'm going to make a little bit of a gray. Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear it now, Sharon. So can you see I'm making a gray, but it's on the blue side? I would rather that than just a dull black and white gray. It's more of a slate gray. I paint really colorful. And even in blacks and grays, I will add a little something just to make it pop. So you can have a really long beard if you want. You can have a shorter beard. If you were painting him on a rectangular, he'd be wider, and you could make a nice wide beard. And I'm just going to paint this as a base coat. We're going to get it lighter afterwards as we go. We're going to add more white and make his beard in layers till we get the shade what we want. I almost want it a little darker in there so that my light strokes are going to really pop. And again, my paint's been sitting out, so I'm going to add water as I go. I would probably recommend letting this pink dry first, but I'm going to just put this base coat in as a start. And when that's dry, I might make it a little bigger and maybe a little curve to it. I don't know what I'm going to do for his little shoes yet. I actually don't know what I'm doing on him at all. I didn't paint him previously. I just thought about it and thought I wanted to use pinks. I'm kind of on the fly going to decide what colors and things. I am going to paint little hearts in the background, I think, as well as this heart that's hanging on his hat. Because this is all wet, I'm just going to skip around. If I need to, I'll pull out the hairdryer. It's nice to have a hairdryer or a heat gun handy in case you're a little impatient like I am sometimes, and I just want to dry things up. And I'm going to look at my comments here, so if you guys have any questions. Hey, Charlotte, I'm so glad you joined. Nice to see you. You guys are so good. Hey, Amy, I just saw you, and here I am again. And Peg, how are you? Now, you're in Florida probably still. I just came back. Actually, I was down 3 times, like 2 weeks apart, and now I'm back for this winter weather, and I'm not thrilled, but it is New England. Okay, I think I'll go with my darker pink for this little heart here. And feel free when you're painting this to make it your own. Use your own colors. Use whatever you would like for little designs. It doesn't have to be hearts. It doesn't have to be for Valentine's Day. This would be cute with little shamrocks for Patty's Day too. So I'm going to just paint a little heart here. And I'm going to paint little hearts in the background, I think, too, just to give it something to add to that dark background. So let's let this one dry. I'm going to go a little darker even on the second coat, I think. And I think I'm going to go a little lighter and smaller for hearts, just scattered in the back. Maybe I'll outline them, maybe not. But a nice technique to make hearts, I'm going to use my little synthetic. It's a little filbert brush, which means it's rounded on the edge instead of flat across. It really works nice for flower petals. It works nice for little hearts. I'm going to thin my paint down. When I'm doing a little detail like this, I want the paint to almost be like ink as opposed to paint. I want it to flow easily. I want to make these little hearts all in one stroke if I can. And so when I take that little brush, I just press in one side, press on the other, and I just make a little heart shape in 2 strokes. Now, it's a little practice maybe if you haven't done them before, so just take a piece of paper, or you could do it on your palette. You could just practice there, press and press. And you can see how that would lend itself nice to making flower petals if you just press and pull in. That's how I make a lot of my 1-stroke flowers. So let me finish my half heart here. I'm going to do a few scattered around, and I think I'll go back in and do some in a little bit of a darker shade, just so it got a little variety. See how quick you can make those once you get that stroke down? Just a little practice every now and then if you're sitting in front of the TV or something and you don't want to have to think too much about what you're working on. Just practice your brush strokes. It's great, great way to get a little bit more proficient at it. Now I do want to make some darker, so I'm going to just dry off my brush. And maybe I will go closer to red on this one, on these little guys. And so scatter them in wherever you like. I've thinned it down so I can get the nice stroke out of it, and you can see through it, but I like the way that looks. I'm not going to worry and go back and try to cover it. I like seeing the black through there. Vary them. They don't have to all be up and down. They could be curved to the side a little bit too. They might be kind of nice outlined with white or outlined in one side. We could try some of that after and see what you think. They could vary in size. I know I've made these sort of the same size, but, and now if I think it needs some in some other places, I might just go back into my light try to get even a little bit lighter shade, just so they're all different shades. And I'll just put them in a different direction. It's hard to stop too, isn't it? I probably am going to overdo it, but I'll try to step away from it in a second, because you know how that is. You just should step away from your painting sometimes. But this filbert brush is really nice for some little one-stroke techniques. All right, one more and I'm done. I'll step away there. Okay, we've got some little hearts. This all needs another coat. I'll start right back up where I started with the light pink. I'll do a quick coat there. And then I will come on down and do another coat of the pink. I think I might just do his beard first while that dries a little bit, but we can decide. Okay, get back to a similar color that we had up here. And just one more coat, because it is a little streaky. Hi, Diane. It's not a canvas, actually. It's just a board. I had a scrap piece of pine board in my studio here. So I just turned it over and painted it black. I can tell you what the measurement is, but you could use any rectangular shape. Or if you re-watch this video, in the beginning I showed you how to sketch this even on a rectangular canvas. But this is pretty narrow. It's about 5.5 inches and by about 2 feet. But you could go to the hardware, not the hardware, but the Home Depots, and they will cut the boards for you. You just go into the pine board section. I usually get a 6 foot or a 4 foot, and then they'll cut it up for you into sections. I like painting on the wood sometimes. I'll do a lot of my stenciling on the wood, but painting on the wood is really fun too. There. So you just get a little quick second coat. And you can see how I mix my paint on the palette as we go. And it's not always the right shade or the same shade. There is no right or wrong, but I don't mind it. And I made a little boo-boo there. So easy to fix. All I did was take one of my brushes, put it in some clean water. While this is wet, you could scoop that right away. Or you could just paint over it with the background. So don't fear when you're painting with your acrylics. Relax, have fun, because you can fix anything you want. At the end, if there's something you don't like, we can always touch it up or fix it. So not to worry. All right, so I'm going to leave that. I like the way it is kind of some different colors as I go back and hit that same area. I'm reaching really far here, so I don't have as much control over my brush as I'd like. But anyways, let's go, and I want to get his beard a little bit bigger shape there. So I'm going to go back in that gray that I made. If you missed it, was a little of the ultramarine blue or whatever blue you have, and some black. It's more of a slate blue gray. And I'm just giving a quick second coat, and I just want to reshape that a little bit, because I want it to be a little bigger. I really want to have fun with the beard and put all little strokes of hair on there, and it's really kind of fun. It makes a nice look. You can have it any shape you want. It could have like a little curve if you wanted to. There, let's leave that. And I'm going to quickly just fill in a little second coat on the darker pink. Just a little second coat, just to cover up where I can see a lot of that black through. I don't know what I'm going to do. What color should I do his little feet, I wonder? Decisions. I can't do black because it wouldn't show up in the background. Could do them as little bare feet. Maybe I'll just do them light pink. That will be that, since we have all the pinks out. All right. Do a little light pink foot. And again, don't worry about the lines in the chalk. They erase afterwards. So we'll give them a second coat too after that's done. And we'll put his nose in now just as a start, because we will need a few coats of that. And And then I'm going to start putting the beard. The hair of the beard is going to cover on our nose a little bit, but that's okay, the second or third coat of this. And here's a little tip. When you're putting a light color over something dark like this black, it was going to take a lot of coats to get that to cover. Look at how you can see the gray right through. I think I'm going to go back with white. White is really opaque, and white will allow me to paint over it with a lighter color. So just paint it with white first. Paint whatever you have that you might be trying to paint light over dark. Paint the object in white first. And when that dries, I'm going to do another coat. Then when you put your light color on, it'll work out great. Okay, I'm going to get out a few round brushes to do the hair on my beard. And I'm going to finish up with a liner brush. So at first I want just get a bigger round brush, and then I'm going to finish up with some fine details with the liner brush. Or you could just use a smaller round detail brush if that's what you have. And I'm going to build up, like I said. So I'm going to take some white now, but where this is a little wet, it's perfect because it may just drag some of the gray in, which is good because I don't want that bright, bright white till the very last coat. As with fur or hair or anything, start at the bottom and work up. That way your strokes are going to lay in the right way and you can build up to the top. So if I just start down here with some little strokes and work up, can you see how that's going to lay properly? If I started here, every stroke I took now would cover that. You want to go bottom to top, and I go right out over the beard a little bit. The stroke I'm using is, I've got my round brush. I might be pressing a little more when I start, and then I'm going to lift up and get a little thinner. So the brush stroke is a little heavier, lift up, and a little thinner so that the little hair turns, has a nice little feathered edge. You could go in any direction you want. I like to have them come out over the edge a little bit with a little bit of a curve. I am not trying to cover everything. I want some of that dark gray to show through. And I can go on top of this and do as many coats as I need to get the effect I want. So I'd rather have you start a little lighter and then finish up with a brighter white on top. Can you see how I'm sort of following the shape? You can curve these guys. This is a great technique for Santa's beard too. So when you're doing your Santas, this is the same technique. I sometimes just curve them. Can you see how it's nice to have that dark showing through as just to give it some shadow? All your objects, if you do some lights and darks, makes it look more like it has form. I'm going to go right up to the nose. Like I said, I'll probably hit it a little bit. And when I do the last coat, I will make sure I go right over all the little hair strokes. Same up here. We'll put a little band maybe or something on his hat if we need to. So don't worry about hitting what you've already painted there. I'm adding a little water each time to my paint. I want this to be thinner when I'm painting these details. And as I go now, the strokes are going to get a little brighter. So let's let that dry just a second. And then I will go back on top. I can do another layer if I want with just my round, or I can get nice long thin strokes with my liner brush there. Let's put something on our hat. Second coat on here because that did not cover great. So let me get that darker pink I had. And let's just paint this real quick. A little flat brush. I'm just using my filbert because I had it in my hand, but you could even use a round. You guys use what's comfortable for you. There's no right or wrong or brushes that you have to use for anything. There. I'm leaving these guys a little see-through. I kind of like that for the background. Probably would have something holding that little heart on his hat. And we'll just do that. Now, I wanted to put, I might just, even though he's a very simple gnome, if you want a little trick, when you want to make something look rounded, you can add, I'm going to add a little shading on one side, a little highlight on one side, same down here. I know it's not necessary in a little simple gnome like this, but let me just show you how that looks, because you might want to add that to some of your objects. You could almost say, okay, the right-hand side, I'm going to add a highlight, the left, I'll do a shadow, but just continue it that way. We could do the same on the little heart. Since we're just using shades of pink, I'm just going to go with a little darker shade. And I'm going to try to keep that so you can see it in the camera. It's kind of a long long, I'm going to do the dark side over here because that looks like it would be a little shadow underneath the hat here. And I'm just going on, it would be the left side if he was right side up. I've just put a little dark on that side. Now, my paint underneath is almost a little wet, some of it, so it's blending kind of almost just by itself for me. I'm going to do the same over this side with a little light. So I'm just taking some white on my brush. If I can find a clean spot. Actually, a little light pink. I don't want to go quite white, but just a little light pink. I'm just going to go up that side. I did the line with my flat brush. I'm drying my brush off on the paper towels now, and I just want to soften that line. I don't really want it that harsh, so I'm just going to soften that. If the pink in the middle is wet still, it blends really nicely for you. It's a little dried here, so I can either take a little water on my brush and soften that, or I could take a little pink paint, but because I'm putting stripes after, I'm not worried so much that this looks perfect. I just want to have a little rounded, dimensional look to it. And you can see that it does take on a little bit of a dimensional look now, right? I think, yeah, you can see. I'm looking at it in the video. It's easier sometimes for me to see my work in the video. Another little tip, if you're painting and you think something's off or you want to get a good look at it, hold your piece up to a mirror or take a photo with your phone. Look at the image and you will be surprised at how different or how it looks, and you might see a little something you want to fix. So that's just a little tip. I always do that. I just pick a picture up or look at it in the video as I'm painting. All right, so we're going to do the same here. We want a little bit of a dark area. I'm not sure what's going to work, so let's just see if the red maybe will work. It does, but it's not great. Tiny bit of black to make it more of a maroon might be the trick. So it would get a shadow on this side. I'm going to do a little blue and a little of my black. Very little. I just want to get it a little darker so you can actually see it on the camera there. I'm giving a dark side there. Now, if you want it to be fancy, you don't need to be, but under the beard would almost have a little bit of a shadow too. So I could always just go under here and make it a little bit of a shadow under there. And then we'll just do our light side. Just go for a lighter pink on that side. And again, remember, if you want to paint just a simple gnome, certainly just paint the flat colors. It's going to look great too. But if you want to practice and just get an idea of how things have a little form when they have a highlight and a shadow. It's a little lighter than I thought I'd like, but that's all right. I'll just go into my pink a little bit here. And get that dark pink that we had here. So I'm really just kind of re-wetting what I've worked on so that I can get the blend here. I've just put a light pink on this side. This pink, darker pink was dry. It didn't blend well, so I just went on with the dark pink I used here and just softened it in. That will work. And since I'm down here and these little feet or shoes need another coat, let's just put a quick little coat of the light pink there. Sometimes on the little shoes, just for fun, I just do a little, like it's a little sole. Gives it a little bit more of a look like shoes. Okay, so those are set. I might do the same exact thing. We have this heart up here. Let me get my dark again. I'm going to do this side with a little dark. So I put it on with my brush. I'm drying my brush off. I'm going to use the dry brush to soften that a little bit. And then I'm going to get my light side on the same way. So just a little light pink on the right side of the heart. Dry off your brush. Soften that. If it's a little stubborn, it's very dry, what do? Take the pink that we used for the heart, and you can use that paint, that wet paint, just to sort of feather. And if you want to make sometimes a little white comma stroke, it's kind of nice, makes it look like it has a little reflection on it. So let's do a little stripe. I think a little stripe on the hat is all we need. I don't want to do them perfect. I'm not going to measure them out and chalk them or anything. I'm going to use a white. I'm going to make it super thin with my paint, my water rather. I want to almost see through it in places, so I've taken my white acrylic, I'm dipping into my water and just getting a nice thin paint there. And I think I will just follow the shape of the hat. So now it's very see-through. I might want it a little more opaque, but you can adjust it as you go. If you wanted a wider stripe, just use a flat brush that's a little wider and go right across. Shape of the brush sometimes works well for different things. I think I've got a little drop of paint there, which again, we'll just cover with black if we need to. And I'm just going to work my way up. And see how I'm giving a little curve to those stripes? Just a little curve, because the form of the hat, it would be a little rounded. It looks a little rounded because of our lights and darks. And now we can even accent that a little more by just curving our little stripes. If I get some overlapping paint here, I could just touch it up with the black after. I'm not going to worry about it too much. There we are, our hat. I wanted to put the band down here maybe a little bit. Actually, you know what? Because the beard's getting light, I want to do a dark band on my gnome's hat. So let me just go back into that dark color and just give it a little dark band. And if I overshot my stripes or anything, you can just take your black and just touch up anything that you need to. Any little boo-boos or anything you want to touch up, you can always use that. And because the black is kind of dull, the paint's very matte, I think I will, when this is done, put a finish on it, like a clear coat, an acrylic clear coat. It'll give it a little shine. So you can just clean it up with your black paint anywhere you need to, if you've gotten any little spots on there like I have here and there. Okay, let's finish the beard. We'll finish the nose, and I think I'm going to put something, maybe polka dots down here on his little coat. He's looking kind of cute. Hey, Christine. Hi, Kit. How are you doing? Nice to see you. And Sherry. Hi. I don't know. Christine, is it cutting out? I don't think so, but I will have the recording up afterwards, too. Okay. I'm going to go in now with my liner brush for the beard. Good bit of water into my white. Again, we start at the bottom. With this liner brush, you can get nice, long, thin strokes. See how those little individual hairs? So fun. And here's the point where you can just keep going back and get his beard as white as you want. If you don't want a lot of gray showing through, no worries. You can do whatever you like the look of. Step back when it's done and just decide if it is too gray for you, or if you want more white. You could do, look at, I can put some more thicker strokes of the white paint, and that covers the gray a little bit. I don't want to obliterate that gray all the way. I want to have that dark background. Otherwise, if we didn't have that dark in the back, we would not see all these nice, fun little strokes. And again, this is just ordinary acrylic. You can use your craft paint or your heavy body tubed paints, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm just using a few different brushes. They are the synthetic brushes. I've used some flats to base in. I've used some rounds for the beard and whatnot. The filbert is perfect for the hearts. And there, I think that's good for my guy. I don't think I want it any lighter. And then you can always go way out over what you have there. See how you can get these little hairs, which are kind of fun? Looks like he's got a little crazy hairdo here. There. Gonna call that done. Let's give his nose a second coat. Actually, it's working out well on the little bit of white that we did put on. That's in just kind of a flesh color, and if you want, I sometimes just take a little of my pink. Give him a little blush on the top, and kind of a little highlight like we did on the heart. Actually, on the shoes, I think I'm going to do just a little highlight there. A little tip for polka dots. Very easy. If you want to take the back end of any of your brushes, you can dip it in your paint and get a nice polka dot, unless you want to really sit and try to make a perfect circle. So you can either just make a dotting on your brush like that, or you know what I do a lot of times, might be fun, I just thought of it. You guys are good, because I'm kind of going by the seat of my pants here, because I have not painted him before, and I'm just deciding as I go. I am a great one for putting little spirals on everything from, I make my moons as little spirals and my sun and whatnot, but I take a little round brush, I've watered my paint down quite a bit, and I might even put a tint of pink in there so it's not perfectly white. And I just plunk my brush down and just spiral. I love these. I don't know why. I use them in all kinds of design work that I do. Little, big. They're not perfect. They're kind of raggedy looking. I like it, I think, more than the polka dots I had planned on doing. So I'm just going to poke my brush down straight up and down. I want to keep it more on the pink side, not white. Get more pink. It's a little whimsical touch, don't you think? Yeah, I like that. You could very well do polka dots. You could do more hearts. You could leave it plain. Keep your paint thin, and you'll get a nice thin line. There. I like that. What do you guys think? And we could stop there. Or a thought I had was, same brush, little white, just on the right side of my hearts. Just maybe a little outline on just one half. I gotta thin that paint down a bit more. I just like the way that brightens up the background on top of the black, which I just got a little bit of white on there. It's on my hand probably in traveling. So just a little bit of a white, and this is very optional. This is just if you want to do that. Sometimes I don't know when to stop. I'll have to look at it after and see if it was a good idea or not. I think we're almost done. This was a pretty quick and easy project. How long have we been painting? Not long, right? I can't really see the time on there, but I don't think it's been too long. There, little bits of things. You could do some writing or your name on the bottom there. You could write love in the heart. There's our guy all painted. What do you all think of him? Anything you think I need to add or change or whatnot? A little wooden ball would look cute as a nose. Nancy, you're right, because wasn't I doing that with some of my gnomes? And let me look, because I had that little bucket of wooden noses around. Yeah, we painted some wooden noses, and Nance painted with me, and that's a perfect idea. I think we do. A little wooden dimensional gnome nose would be cool. So anyway, I am going to leave this on the page, and I will download the recording too, and you guys will have that. Oh, you're welcome, Sherry. Oh, thank you, Trudy. I'm going to try to turn this without it being all crazy so that I can actually see you guys before you go. And I appreciate you watching. I know it was just a little bit of a whim. It was last minute. But if you want to text when I do go live, I do have a texting. If you text me at this number, you can screenshot it if you want. Text me at this number, and I will do my best to remember to give you a heads up when I go on at last minute like this to paint. So that would put you on my list. So we've done our little gnome, which actually came out pretty cute. Oh, you know what I was going to do? Hang on. Why I painted the edge white is I was going to take just a flat brush with our pink. I'm only going to do a section, but you can see. And I was going to just give it a little bit of a striped edge. I know the camera and the lighting, I don't know if you can see that, but let me just put it on there and show you. I was going to go right around the edge, just with a stripe, just to finish it off. It would be kind of whimsically, that's probably not a word, whimsical. So that's our Valentine's gnome. I might have shown you in the beginning, but if you weren't here at the very beginning, This is another Valentine's painting I did with my Cardist group. I do have a private membership and we paint inside that every month. Really cool paintings. We are painting tonight, actually this, oh, I want to show you something else. So we're painting this tonight, the little ice skating scene. But what I'm going to go on live and paint, and maybe tomorrow, I have this idea for painted ice skates. So I'm going to paint a winter scene, kind of like that one with mountains and skiers and little houses. I know it's hard to see with the light, maybe it's glary. So I'm going to paint on the skate. I don't know how it's going to come out. You guys are good. You come along for the ride and we'll see how it works out. For those, I'm going to paint a sample on one side and then go on maybe tomorrow. So do watch the page. Send me the text if you want me to notify you. There'll always be a recording on the page too. Also, if you're not in my Learn to Paint with Cheryl free group, please jump over and join it. This is my business page. I put things on here just so you know what I do. But in my Learn to Paint group, we do little tutorials and it's a nice community for you to connect with other creatives and artists. So anyways, I appreciate you painting and I hope it's not as cold and wintry where you are. I'll talk to you soon. Bye now. Thanks, guys.